I laid down on the ground with my face towards the sky and attempted to sleep. Huh? There was a pressure on my chest heavier than ash in the lungs. Squeak, squeak. I opened my eyes and rubbed them. Confusion knit itself into my expression and mind. This song is amazing. Hey all you cool creatures. I'm Cryptid. Welcome to the CryptidPlays YouTube channel. And this title may be familiar. We have indeed played 1016 on this channel, but for I thought it would be fun to play it again for having 1016 subscribers. So this is the updated version with voice acting and I think an extra ending, possibly. I don't remember. But regardless, what this visual novel is about is that we are the fallen, a believer in a higher power who only wanted paradise. But when you're sent to the depths of hell, you can only do one thing. Travel through the 9 circles and state your case of innocence to Satan. Everyone has been kind to you so far, especially the Keeper of Heresy, the 6th circle. So we are basically going to get all of the endings again. Here are the content warnings. This game contains themes of possessiveness, religious trauma, and death. Please play with caution. We are skipping the intro. Right. The elevator's warmth was a relief from the cold waters of the Styx, and the bodies inside thrashing on the water's surface. I knew the heat would soon become a fleeting feeling the deeper I went. I clasped a hand over the cross around my neck and took a deep breath. The door closed and the elevator began its slow descent into the thick of hell. Each elevator ride had been vastly different from the last in terms of both the elevator itself and the length of the ride down. While the time between the first and second circles only took 30 seconds, the ride between the fourth and fifth took what felt like 30 minutes. Some were smooth and in sleek, modern elevators. Others were... My knees wobbled at the sudden rumble. I leaned my back against the wall. I felt like I was going to be sick. I'd rather not die a second time, let alone in an old elevator. I shut my eyes and hoped my stomach wouldn't give out again. The elevator stopped and its doors opened. My eyes were not ready for the immediate surge of fog that washed into the elevator like waves. I swatted some of it away as I made my exit from the insecurity of metal. Dirt scattered below my feet. With each step, I was in a cemetery, shrouded in deep fog. There was no sign of life, not even in the form of trees or wildflowers. All there was were tombs, some open and empty, some closed. I called out into the mist, hoping someone would answer. The keepers of each circle have made themselves hard to find. At this point, it was to be expected. I called out again, my voice vanishing into a rasp as the fog ate my words. There was nothing to do but walk. As I trekked through the dirt, between the gravestones, I noticed some of the tombs were on fire. Not enough to set dead grass alight, not enough to leave a smell. Eventually, I spotted someone in the distance, dressed in black and red, holding an umbrella. Were they a mourner? What would a mourner be doing in front of a burning tomb? I slowly approached, careful not to do anything too fast to set the stranger off.
Are you the one trying to make their way to Satan?
They were not facing me. Their eyes still cast down into the flaming abyss below us.
Are you too scared to respond, Fallen?
They turned towards me with a small smile on their face. Both irises were white, but the rest of the eye was drowned in different colors, one red and one black. Over their mouth was a muzzle, like one a dog would wear if it could not keep its mouth shut and canines unsheathed.
Welcome to Heresy, the Sixth Circle. My name is Dorian, and I am this circle's keeper.
Oh, fun fact. The voice actor did the music for this as well. He also voice acted in, I think, a few other visual novels. One for sure that I know of and have played myself, but not on my channel yet. He also did the music for Binary Star Hero and a few others, so that's really cool.
Might I know your name, Fallen?
My name is, we'll go with my kind of usual new self-inserty name, Moth. I don't think there's a Easter egg for putting in my name. There might
is a beautiful name.
Yeah, there's none. There might be for other creators, but definitely not for me. There also might not be for anyone. I don't know.
That is a beautiful name.
Do you really think so?
Of course. What reason would I have to lie to you?
Gee, I wonder. I stared at the demon of heresy, like the answer was obvious. Your circle is for false teachers of faith, for those who say falsehoods about the way religion works.
I've also taken the blasphemers and the liars under my wing. Does it bother you? You have been acquainted with my friends in limbo, lust, gluttony, greed, and wrath. Of course, the deeper you go, the more horrifying it may appear to be. But it is not as bad as you may have been led to believe. Truly.
I believe you.
Everyone has treated you well so far, correct?
I reflected on each keeper I had met before coming down to the 6th circle. They've all been nice. Is that surprising?
It is.
Should I be worried?
Worried about what they will do to you? Of course not. They can't do anything to you here.
Alright. I'm going to ask about the muzzle. I don't remember how to get all the endings, and there's a joke ending now too, so... Why do you wear a muzzle?
It's the first thing you notice.
No, I noticed other things first, but still. People do not typically walk around wearing metal like that on their faces.
Typically. It was placed upon me by someone else. He said it's supposed to stop me from lying. In truth, it doesn't work.
Of course not.
But I find it does make for a pretty accessory.
I'm just gonna keep going with the second choice for now. Does it make it hard to eat?
I do not need to eat. I do not need to sleep. Not anymore, at least.
That sounds miserable.
My work is never finished. Will never be finished. But enough of all that.
Dorian raised a hand out to the sky, palm up. There was a look of annoyance, which briefly came over his face. I looked up to the sky. It was beginning to grow dark, filled with tones I had never seen before in rain clouds. Is rain coming?
Ash. For the first few minutes, the fall is not bad. But it can become worse than a raging blizzard. We should hurry back to the library. I'll return later to observe the fires.
He extended his hand towards me.
Here. The umbrella will shield you from the storm until we get you to shelter.
I could taste it in the air. The bitter remains of smoke had already made a home on my tongue. Stand next to him. I declined the hand and instead stood next to him.
Stay close to me. It's not going to kill you, but it'll get in your lungs and ruin your clothes.
As the two of us walked through fog and past uncovered graves, whose fires blazed despite the upcoming storm, Dorian looked down at me every so often as we walked, but he barely said a word. Was he judging me, or was he just making sure I was okay? I didn't know. The fog parted as falling ash began to take its place. I had learned about Pompeii when I was a child. I imagined that the citizens of that ancient city witnessing this fall of ash What would they have thought if they were in my position, unafraid and protected, certain of incoming shelter? Would they have found it beautiful? I would never get those answers. Birds flew above us. I could not see them, but I could hear their calls as they shifted through the ash. Once the fog started shooting upward, as if to battle the incoming cinders, I spotted a large building. It reminded me of the cathedrals in big cities and tucked into the countrysides. You're a demon like the others, right?
That is correct.
I love that pose. Then how come there's a building in a circle of hell that is themed like a Catholic cathedral?
You might call it blasphemous, and I suppose it is. In truth, I've always enjoyed Catholic aesthetics, whether it be in their art or their architecture.
Yes, I can tell.
Though, I can't say I love what they have to say.
That's understandable. It's not up to me or anyone else to change your beliefs.
That's right. People don't like for their opinions to be changed, but some of us are masters of the silver tongue. Some may be easily swayed because they have no opinions of their own. And once they gain this opinion, it's permanent. Others may be as vampires who are weak to the silver, and they turn away. And these rooms become echo chambers. It's why I've read the scripture and holy books from every religion ever uttered. And yet, none stick with me. But I can appreciate the aspects of most of them. Does that make any sense?
I guess so.
Now, shall we go in?
As we walked on the steps, the front door opened for us. From it rolled a dusty aroma, not like the dust and ash of the graves, but instead like old books and wood. Something about it was comforting, much more comforting than the storm, with its clouds putting pressure on the air and my lungs. As soon as we entered, the door shut behind us. I was greeted to an extravagant room, lined with books on either side. Above me sat beautiful paintings of mythical creatures, sitting among dead forests and empty beaches. Dorian placed his umbrella in a holder next to the door. There were 3 others clumped together, all from different historical eras.
You won't be able to go out until the storm passes.
Why not?
It will obscure where the elevator is. Hard to see, hard to navigate, and it could bury you. It's best to wait it out.
How long could it take?
I don't know. But you're not in a hurry, right? A few hours or even days is nothing when compared to the rest of eternity. Are you cold? I can make you tea and you can tell me your tale.
There was nothing else to be done.
Perhaps I shall give you a tour.
Sure.
Very well. You'd best hurry along then.
Dorian reached a hand out to me once more.
You might wander off and get lost. There are countless things in my library of lies that would draw even the purest of souls in.
Follow him instead. I don't think I'll get lost if I stay nearby you, right?
You won't, but the halls of the library can get cold. It helps to preserve some objects. I just don't want you to freeze before you reach the 9th circle.
Are you trying to flirt with me? All he did was smile. We walked past statues, books, globes, and artifacts. He explained that most of the books were of falsehoods, realities which people thought were real, but never truly existed. Beliefs that were closer to fiction than fact. Some of them, labeled with pretty black and gold spines, were of truths, of the beauties that exist in the world. I asked why he, as heresy, kept those. He didn't give me a straight answer. He said there was value in knowledge. What was valuable about lies? And any time I wanted to reach for something, Dorian swatted my hand away.
No matter how you may preach about sin, shiny objects tempt you.
I wondered how old the globes were and what countries they showed. I wondered where he got them. I wondered if any of these books had been read by anyone other than Dorian himself. But why did I care? I wanted to leave eventually. I had to get down to the 9th circle. After what felt like 20 minutes worth of walking, Dorian stopped at an unassuming door. He grabbed for the knob.
This is one of my many studies. I never get to use them, only for the sparse company.
He opened it and bowed. A free hand extended into the room. I followed his lead and walked in. The door shut behind us, and Dorian let out a sigh of relief. It was a room with 2 levels. 3 of 4 walls were lined with books. The only light comes from a window parallel to the entry door. Whatever lurked outside I was unable to see, or the ash was too saturated. What's the view out there?
From here, distant fires and mist.
I turned back to Dorian with an involuntary sigh.
Feel free to sit while I make tea. Do you have a preference on flavors? I prefer a floral blend myself, but I'll do anything for you.
Anything you say. Can you get me up to heaven?
As long as I have it, of course.
I didn't want to have him go out of the way to make something to appease me. I'll just have what you're having.
Splendid.
He walked over to a small break in the shelves. I stared at the table in front of me, with 2 chairs and papers scattered about it.
You could move those to the side, you know. I don't mind.
You say so. I nodded and started to stack the papers. Most were unopened letters and archival notes, but one letter, half out of its page with a drawing attached, intrigued me. To go with the fact that we're doing the second choice completely, don't read the letter. It's rude to read someone else's mail, and illegal, but probably not in hell. I placed the letter on top of my new pile and waited for Dorian. He returned with 2 cups. One was a plain straw in a cup, which I assumed was for him. The other was a beautiful teacup with a gold handle and deep blue flowers painted like the night sky. Dorian placed the fancy cup in front of me and his on the other side. Finally, he sat down and twirled some of his hair around his finger.
I hope this is to your taste. It's blueberries, hibiscus, cherries, and some other fruits.
Yeah, it's to my taste. Don't worry.
I'm sure it'll pick you up in the darkness down here, at least.
Say thanks. Thank you.
Anything for you. You are a guest in my home. If you need anything else, please let me know, okay?
Will do. How kind of him. He placed the straw between the bars of his muzzle so he could take a sip. It was scorching hot, and he was drinking it immediately? Well, he is a demon.
So, shall we start this over?
Dorian was cut off by a sound hitting the window nearby. The two of us turned to find the source. It was a bird with black feathers that contrasted against the light dust of the storm outside. It stared at me for a few seconds, flapping its wings to keep it in place. And before I could process it, the bird flew off into the chaos. I noticed them earlier. Why do you have birds?
I don't know, but they don't bother me. I let them fly about. Some of them nest on the spires. Blackbirds are my favorite animal.
He cleared his throat and resumed the conversation.
You have recently died, and you were sent to Limbo, the first circle. Now you seek to descend through each circle until you reach Satan at the 9th. You hope to state your case and be allowed into the heavens.
Yup. That's correct.
Now, do you know why you were brought down to hell?
No idea. I don't. I've been a devotee to the Lord all my life. Clearly, that's not good enough.
So you intend to entreat with the devil without knowing what you may have done wrong?
I believe it's a mistake, that I was mistaken for someone else.
Really now?
That's what I think. Especially because everyone has been so kind to me as I've traveled down. If it's not exactly a mistake, then it's a test. He said nothing, tapping his fingers instead on the cup in his hand.
We should start from the beginning then, shouldn't we? Perhaps we can discover where your purported sin lies if we talk about you. When did you die?
January 1st.
On the Solemnity of Mary, Mother of God?
Yes, I was on my way to Mass.
That's unfortunate. And how did you die?
I fell. Before going into the church, someone asked me to help with something on the roof. We had been doing renovations, you see, and we had some birds that began to nest on the steeple. Someone asked me to climb up one of the ladders to try and whisk the birds away. It would have been bad for them and bad for us.
Of course.
But as I climbed up the ladder, I must have slipped on the last step. I think one of the birds flew out and startled me. So I fell off and onto my back. I could hear nothing, and all I could feel was blood. Felt like it was everywhere, squirting against my neck, dripping down my forehead, and clustering in my eyes. My body felt wrong, bent in every wrong angle and shape. I looked up and watched the sky until my vision went dark. It was like watching a solar eclipse. And then I ended up here. Not in your circle, obviously.
Do you regret dying, Fallen?
He had called me that before, and only now did I find it odd. I didn't tell Dorian my cause of death before this. Call out the nickname. Why do you keep calling me Fallen? This is my first time telling you how I died.
Is it?
You already knew about my death, didn't you? I heard birds and everything.
Fallen is a nickname that I give to those who come down here to beg forgiveness from the fallen angel himself. People who believe they have fallen from where they should be. Fallen from the earth and down here instead. It's a coincidence.
Yeah.
You don't have to believe me. I'm not expecting validation from you. You're in my domain, after all. Everything you're seeing in front of you could be a lie. Who knows? But it's no use dwelling on hypotheticals. We have more important things to discuss. Your locket.
Huh? He held out his hand to me.
Let me see it.
I had nearly forgotten the new piece of jewelry which sat loosely around my neck after I tried prying it open to no avail in the second circle. Why?
You know how people will keep the portraits and memories of their loved ones tucked in a locket close to their heart, so they do not forget what is most important to them? It's similar to that, only it's with your memories.
I unhooked the silver clasp sitting at the back of my neck and handed it to him. He was careful not to touch the clasp. Why? The keepers of those circles offered no response when I asked about its purpose. Dorian stood up and walked to a row of books behind him. Each looked old, older than any church I had ever visited.
It shall be easier to pass through if we can just...
He picked up the 5th book from the left, which had a faded label with 13 written in purple.
This one should work.
Dorian began flipping through the pages, being gentle with each one. Every so often, he pushed his glasses up with his index finger. "What are you doing?"
I'm trying to find an empty page. There we are.
He had opened a page towards the end of the book. It was decorated in a border of twigs and birds, painted in neutral, matte colors. The most peculiar part was the oval-shaped hole in the middle of the page. Dorian placed the book on the table. He then placed the locket in the hole. It fit perfectly. I looked at his face, admiring the way his eyebrows knitted and lips parted in concentration. I mean, he is really pretty.
We then close that, and now all we do is wait.
He used the chain of the locket as a bookmark before he closed the book shut. What does that do?
It will write out your life story for me, all on one page.
Damn, I must not have done much in life. 1 page.
We need only give it a few minutes. Can I interest you in more tea?
I think I'm all right. Thank you. Let me finish this cup.
All right.
Dorian stood up, taking his cup and returning to the corner where he had originally made the tea. I looked down at the liquid swirling in my cup. When I glanced back up, Dorian was staring at me with a soft expression on his face. Dorian?
Oh, apologies.
He turned away from me and began rummaging around in the drawers. Ask Dorian about himself. Can I ask you some questions?
I'm an open book.
When did you die?
Within the 1st century CE. I was burned alive for leading some Roman lambs astray. I had many thoughts on how the world should work. I've always believed religion to be selfish. People do good deeds to seem like good people, good enough to achieve paradise. I thought good deeds should be done because you want to be a good person. You want to help your fellow man, not to gain something in the end.
I agree.
I had other thoughts, that the man upon everyone's lips was just another preacher, that we are in control of ourselves. It's why my realm is tombs of fire and ash.
Are you still upset?
About dying? No, I was never upset. The only thing I'm upset about is I can't...
He stopped himself, both in his word and in his body.
Never mind.
We were interrupted by a bird's chirping. Dorian walked back over to me and placed his hand on the book, tracing the corner stitching with his finger.
It's ready.
Dorian opened the book and picked it up, hiding most of his face behind the pages. Every so often, he looked back up at me, eyes full of either delight or curiosity. He'd nod as if to confirm some unsaid suspicion. I glanced to the window. The storm seemed to be raging with no end in sight. Have you found anything yet?
I think so. There is something overarching, but I can pull out a specific moment. Do you remember the church you volunteered to work with to help serve food to those who were underprivileged?
Yes, it was cold that day in January. I underdressed and I was shivering. There were birds and squirrels outside, peering in on us through the church's windows. They'd start with a sermon before we were allowed to serve food. So they brought up the story of the feeding of the 5,000.
Then he commanded the multitudes to sit down on the grass, and he took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he blessed and broke and gave the loaves to the disciples, and the disciples gave to the multitudes. So they all ate and were filled, and they took up 12 baskets full of the fragments that remained. Now those who had eaten were about 5,000 men besides women and children. Matthew 14, verses 19 through 21.
I think I laughed at that.
Really?
Because he's summoning an endless amount of bread, basically. How is that possible? I understood what the passage was saying, to make use of what you have. But I didn't take it literally.
There are many absurdities in the texts. Silly things, annoying things, things that don't make sense. It's like how we think of Greek and Roman mythology nowadays. Less so that it really happened, and as more of a fable. I think of Ambrose Bierce in a more modern context. So you take a lot of what's in your text as lessons, rather than fact.
Yes.
So do I. And therein lies your sin. You don't take it literally. And that's a heresy.
Before I could have any sort of reaction, Dorian continued.
It's unfair, isn't it? To be curious. To question what you're reading or what you're being told. To think some things are too big, too fantastic for the mediocre world you live in, and to be punished in the end for questioning someone. Lucifer fell because he questioned God. What's to say he isn't doing the same to you right now? Someone who has been a devout, loyal follower, despite never seeing his face.
That's such an innocent sin, though, isn't it? It's human nature. That's part of why we must forgive and repent, because we're flawed.
But why is that a bad thing? No one should expect someone as wonderful as you to be perfect all the time. because you're perfect in your own right.
What are you saying?
Even if I've been watching you all these years, I'm now unsure what to think. I thought this could work out. Would you like to know something? The elevator has been inside my library this whole time.
A small grin formed behind the muzzle. Why didn't you tell me earlier?
Because I wanted to talk to you.
He pulled the locket out of the book and placed it in my hand.
But I think I'm done now. Would you like to go to the next floor? I'll escort you.
Before I could react, he grabbed my wrist, fingertips pressing into my skin. Ow!
Don't resist, dear fallen.
And so Dorian pulled me out of the room and back into the echoing halls of the building. Wait! Whatever I yelled at him was going in one ear and out the other. I tried stopping and beating against his hand, but it would not budge. He was dragging me like a doll. When we reached a bookshelf with only green books, Dorian grabbed a random one off the third shelf from the top. The shelves parted open, and they revealed a single elevator of modern design. Dorian threw me into the elevator. My head clattered against the back wall, sending a ringing through my ears.
The next circle will not be as kind to you as I have been. The lakes of blood and the bodies within them will drown you in their anger. All I can do is wish you luck.
Wait! I reached my hand out and started moving towards the elevator's open door. But without another word, Dorian began to walk away and the door closed on me. The elevator began traveling down, and I had no time to process what had just happened, or what was to come. I looked at the locket, clasping my fingers around its metal. I closed my eyes and breathed a shaky sigh. I feared he was right, that I would die in the circle of violence without a hand to guide me down. Ending 2. Not everything is as beautiful as I expect it to be. Unsurprisingly, I don't remember how to get all the endings, so this is gonna be interesting. Alright, so now we are going to ask about the fires. Why do some of the tombs have fires blazing within them?
You're curious. I like that.
Thought you might. We watched the fire in a nearby hole, dug deep into the ground, letting out exhaust and smoke, which drizzled into the air.
Have you ever read the works of Dante Alighieri? His poetry is a wonderful fan fiction. He wrote something about the heretics who come to my circle, that they would be burning for eternity in tombs. That's not the whole truth. Not anymore, at least. I did not like their agony or their screams as they burned, even when I removed their throats. Instead, I burn what I need out of them to add to my archives in the library.
In the flames were bones, Buried deep in the false earth, they looked thinned.
Their lies, their false teachings, whatever I do not already know. And then I leave their souls to wander until they die from a lack of purpose.
You collect heresy?
Indeed, among other things, because why not? Or perhaps it's because I like to collect pretty things, but enough of all that.
Dorian raised a hand out to the sky, palm up. There was a look of annoyance which briefly came over his face. I looked up to the sky. It was beginning to grow dark, filled with tones I had never seen before in rain clouds. Is rain coming?
Ash, for the first few minutes, the fall is not bad, but it can become worse than a raging blizzard. We should hurry back to the library. I'll return later to observe the fires.
He extended his hand towards me.
Here. The umbrella will shield you from the storm until we get you to shelter.
Take his hand. I grabbed for the hand he was reaching with. It was cold, but I could not tell if that was from the fabric of his gloves or the temperature of his being.
Good choice. It shouldn't be a long journey. Don't let go.
And the two of us walked through fog and past uncovered graves whose fires blazed despite the upcoming storm. Once the fog started shooting upward, as if to battle the incoming cinders, I spotted a large building. It reminded me of the cathedrals in big cities and tucked away into countrysides. You're a demon like the others, right?
That is correct.
Then how come there's a building in a circle of hell that is themed like a Catholic cathedral?
You might call it blasphemous, and I suppose it is. In truth, I've always enjoyed Catholic aesthetics, whether it be in their art or their architecture, though I can't say I love what they have to say.
That's because you're not human. You're a creature born of malice and evil. You could never understand the grace and the warmth of the church. Dorian laughed, covering his mouth with his hand. Was it to feign politeness?
You are funny. What would you say if I told you I was human, the same as you, in a time long past?
I guess it makes sense. Even Satan was once an angel.
And all these years later, he still has the beauty of one. You'll learn, oh sweet fallen. Now, shall we go in?
Sure. As we walked on the steps, the front door opened for us. From it rolled a dusty aroma, not like the dust and ash of the graves, but instead like old books and wood. As soon as we entered, the doors shut behind us.
You won't be able to go out until the storm passes.
Why not?
It will obscure where the elevator is. Hard to see, hard to navigate, and it could bury you. It's best to wait it out.
How long could it take?
I don't know. But you're not in a hurry, right? A few hours or even days is nothing when compared to the rest of eternity. Are you cold? I can make you tea and you can tell me your tale.
There was nothing else to be done.
Perhaps I shall give you a tour.
Sure.
Very well. You'd best hurry along then.
Dorian reached a hand out to me once more.
You might wander off and get lost. There are countless things in my library of lies that would draw even the purest of souls in.
Take his hand. I grabbed for Dorian's hand. Who knew what was lurking in the depths of heresy's walls?
That's quite cute of you, darling fool. You've done it twice now. Are you scared of something? Or are you trying to warm up to me?
Well, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Come now. You can tell me anything.
Is he serious? I'll get the other choices later, but we'll do the first one because that's what we're doing at the moment, so I'm scared of getting lost. The last thing I'd want is to get swallowed up in hell forever. I'm trying to get out of here.
I appreciate the honesty. I once had a girl come down here to try and do the same thing as you. She was swallowed into the obscure and never returned. I don't quite know what happened to her. One of the books may have swallowed her up. I have one that begs for blood. Not that I have any to offer.
Do you get many human visitors?
No. Heresy is placed 2/3 of the way to treachery. Most souls seeking an audience with Satan do not make it past the second circle. They either come to terms with their sin, or those who dwell above succumb to their hunger and finish them off for good.
I swallowed at the thought, and we started walking. After what felt like 20 minutes worth of walking, Dorian stopped at an unassuming door. He let go of my hand and grabbed for the knob.
This is one of my many studies. I never get to use them, only for the sparse company.
He opened it and bowed. A free hand extended into the room. I followed his lead and walked in. The door shut behind us, and Dorian let out a sigh of relief. It was a room with 2 levels. 3 of the 4 walls were lined with books.
Feel free to sit while I make tea. Do you have a preference on flavors? I prefer a floral blend myself, but I'll do anything for you, as long as I have it, of course.
I didn't want him to have to go out of the way to make something to appease me. I'll just have what you're having.
Splendid.
He walked over to a small break in the shelves, with 2 chairs and papers scattered about it.
You could move those to the side, you know. I don't mind.
I nodded and started to stack up the papers. Most were unopened letters and archival notes, but one letter half out of its page with a drawing attached intrigued me. Read the letter. I took the papers out. There was one main letter of normal size that was accompanied by smaller pieces, each with a beautiful sketch done in pen. They looked to be of holy beings. Interesting. I read the letter attached, which was written in cursive and red ink. Dorian, I've sent some thumbnail ideas for the commission for the 14th wing. Let me know what you think. I'm really excited to start working on these. Any work you give me is such a pleasure. I hadn't seen any art pieces in the halls. Is there a part of the library that has some? I placed the letter's contents back in their envelope and sat down.
I saw you read that.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. I'm sure you're curious.
Who's it from?
A demon friend of mine. They're a painter. I've tried picking up the medium myself, but it just isn't my forte. I try to categorize the wings of my collection, sometimes by century, sometimes by region, and I like to decorate them. I keep more than just books. There are artifacts as well.
Ask to see the collections later. May I see the other wings?
If the storm has not passed before we're done here, then yes, I must admit, I am pleased that you are interested in what I have.
It's history, even if it's weird history.
The history of lies and falsehoods. That's the thing about a lie. They all come unraveled by the end.
He returned with 2 cups. One was a plain straw in a cup, which I assumed was for him.
I'm sure it'll pick you up in the darkness down here, at least.
I didn't take you for a fruity tea person.
Really? Is it because I'm so gloomy? I dress in black with a spinal cord as my boots heel. Is it because of the desolation? Even in the ash storm, I've made my own light. I prefer the fruitier teas to the bitter blends.
He placed the straw between the bars of his muzzle so he could take a sip.
So, shall we start this over?
Dorian was cut off by a sound hitting the window nearby. The 2 of us turned to find the source. It was a bird with black feathers that contrasted against the light dust of the outside storm. I noticed them earlier. Why do you have birds?
I don't know, but they don't bother me. I let them fly about. Some of them nest on the spires. Blackbirds are my favorite animal.
He cleared his throat and resumed the conversation.
You have recently died, and you were sent to Limbo, the first circle. Now you seek to descend through each circle until you reach Satan at the 9th. You hope to state your case and be allowed into the heavens.
That's correct.
Now, do you know why you were brought down to hell?
I don't. I've been a devotee of the Lord all my life.
So you intend to entreat with the devil without knowing what you may have done wrong?
I believe it's a mistake.
Really now?
That's what I think. Especially because everyone has been so kind to me as I've traveled down. If it's not exactly a mistake, then it's a test. He said nothing, tapping his fingers instead on the cup in his hand.
We should start from the beginning then, shouldn't we? Perhaps we can discover where your purported sin lies if we talk about you. When did you die?
January 1st.
On the Solemnity of Mary, Mother of God?
Yes, I was on my way to Mass.
That's unfortunate. And how did you die?
I fell. And then I ended up here. Not in your circle, obviously.
Do you regret dying, Fallen?
He had called me that before, and only now did I find it odd. I didn't tell Dorian my cause of death before this. Answer his question. It was his choice to bring me to heaven, and this is his test.
His choice?
Everything is, isn't it?
I think this is why I like you so much.
Huh?
You're so innocent, so naive. You believe a benevolent God would kill you so violently, and then send you down to what he considers the pits, the tombs, the depths, that he would abandon you like this.
I told you, it's a test or entry into the heavens.
Revelations 21:4. And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. Conflict is what drives the human species. It's what drives innovation and love. If you had an eternity in paradise, would you want to do anything? Think of any desires you had as a mortal. All of those things you wished to do before you died. Travel, fall in love, make something worth remembering, learn something new, leave an impact.
Call out the heresy. But isn't that a heresy? That God and his heaven would be boring? How do you know?
How do you know that he isn't? Have you been there? Have you met souls who've come back from such a paradise?
Part of what makes heaven so great is that God is there.
And you think he's going to play dollhouse with you? Oh, darling, it's so lovely to see you here with me and the countless millions of people I've led astray. I can be the father, and you can be the mother, and everyone else can be our children and our dogs. If I were there, I'd try to kill myself again.
Why am I even sitting here and talking to you?
Because you can't leave. There's a storm raging outside, and your soul would corrode before you ever saw the shores of your warped idea of paradise. I apologize. I ought to stop. Berating you and your beliefs is not what I'm here to do.
This guy was getting on my last nerves. Walk out. I'm just going to find the elevator myself.
Is that your decision?
Yes.
If you insist.
He snapped his fingers and I heard the sound of metal in the distance. Did you lock the doors?
I have unlocked them. You can go to the right, walk for 2 minutes until you see a sign that says 19th wing, and then make another right. There will be a door that you can exit through. But know this, when you begin to perish, as dust burns in your eyes and ash fills your lungs, dragging your body down, I will be there to carry you back to this church of forbidden knowledge.
I left without another look or another word. I didn't know how long I had been walking through the thick clouds of ash. My legs were on the verge of giving out. Ash stuck to my skin like dead cells. My eyes were growing heavy. Through my limited sight, I saw no signs of the elevator to the next floor. Was it even out here? I didn't know. I couldn't think. I was coughing up too much dust to think straight. And eventually, I fell to the ground. My back was against the dirt, and my head was facing the sky, burdened by the embers of burning tombs. The Lord was not going to save me here. I was going to die again, in the exact same position, except this time I would be without the sticky clumps of blood which clung to my skin. I closed my eyes and tried my best to drown it all out, to drown out the sound of dust and birds.
You should have listened.
I couldn't react with the heavy feeling in my body, like rocks under my skin that were weighing me down. Arms wrapped around my body and pulled me into the air. I was being held, no, cradled in them. And we were walking. He was walking, with his back against the storm.
What am I going to do with you? I'll fix you right up and start over. Perhaps.
For the first time since I had met him, he hesitated, truly hesitated.
I'll worry about that later.
I opened one of my eyes to look up at Dorian. Instead, all I saw was a bird flying into the storm. I closed it again and melted into the cold of Heresy's master. Ending 1. No matter how much I scrub at my tongue, the taste of blood remains. Alright. We have 4 more endings, because there's the extra ending that's been added. So let's get them. Alright, now on to ending 3. We're going to ask about the fires. I'm going to be skipping a lot of stuff. I think take his hand. That's because you're not human. You're a creature born of malice and evil. You could never understand the grace and the warmth of the church. Dorian laughed, covering his mouth with his hand. Was it to feign politeness?
You are funny.
Alright, let's follow him instead. I don't think I'll get lost if I stay nearby you, right?
You won't, but the halls of the library can get cold. It helps to preserve some objects. I just don't want you to freeze before you reach the 9th circle.
Fair enough. Read the letter. I took the papers out. There was one main letter of normal size that was accompanied by smaller pieces, each with a beautiful sketch done in pen. They looked to be of holy beings. Interesting.
I saw you read that.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. I'm sure you're curious.
Who's it from?
A demon friend of mine.
Ask about the other letters. What's in the other letters? I won't read any of those, but I'm curious, like you said.
I partake in a pen pal system throughout the circles, and to other regions.
Other regions?
Only human beings who believe what you believe are sent here once they succumb. There are other afterlives, and there are societies for the inhuman in between doors.
He returned with 2 cups. We are just going to say thanks. Thank you.
Anything for you. You are a guest in my home. If you need anything else, please let me know, okay?
How kind of him. He placed this... Nah, we can skip this.
So, shall we start this over?
The bird. I'm gonna skip. Let's call out the nickname. Why do you keep calling me Fallen? This is my first time telling you how I died.
Is it?
You already knew about my death, didn't you? In spite of his lies, yes, he did.
Fallen is a nickname that I give to those who come down here to beg forgiveness from the fallen angel himself. People who believe they have fallen from where they should be. Fallen from the earth and down here instead. It's a coincidence. You don't have to believe me. I'm not expecting validation from you. You're in my domain, after all. Everything you're seeing in front of you could be a lie. Who knows? But it's no use dwelling on hypotheticals. We have more important things to discuss. Your locket.
We're gonna skip ahead. Let's ask about Dorian himself. Can I ask you some questions?
I'm an open book.
Are you allowed to leave? You've made it seem like you can't.
I can for short periods of time. I typically just visit other demons. A friend of mine runs an art gallery. Another is a musician, and a good friend of mine runs a bar.
What about the physical world?
I can travel there. My time spent must be shorter, and I must manifest as something else.
Like a bird. Yeah, like an animal?
Yes.
Right. We're interrupted by birds chirping.
No one should expect someone as wonderful as you to be perfect all the time, because you're perfect in your own right.
What are you saying?
I have a question for you. Do you still want to go down? Do you still want to face Satan? You will reject you, you know. Even if he believes in you, you know what your creator will say. He'll cast you right back down here, and it will have to be here. Do you truly wish to go through such effort, only to be humiliated and rejected? I'd hate to see that on you. I really would. But it's your own decision. If you stay here, I will take care of you. I will tell you everything you want to know. If you would continue down, I will ensure that the keepers of those circles treat you with kindness and lead you to Satan easily. Then, if you are rejected, I will welcome you upon your return with open arms.
What if I'm not?
I don't think you'll make it to the paradise you desire. Because in truth, it's not as fantastic as they make it up to be. But, as I said, it's your decision.
I'll stay with Dorian. I grabbed for one of the hands clasped around the other. A soft sound of surprise comes from his mouth. I want to stay. It's nice here, and you've been very loving to me. Loving in a way I've never felt before, never understood. And if what you're saying is true, then what's the point in even trying? He smiled, and even through the bars of the muzzle, it was bright.
Yes, you're right. It's fantastic here, with you. I could never ask for anyone else to spend my time with. Would you like to explore the other wings now? I have so much to show you.
He held my hand and dragged me through the halls of his library, full of forbidden falsehoods. The whole time he was smiling, eyes lit up with stars, despite the darkened sclera and sunken irises. He didn't tell me yet why he was so infatuated with me, why exactly things had transpired the way they had. I knew he would, though, eventually. Ending 3. Some things are best in the shadows of secrecy. Alright, we can get one other ending there. I'll have to figure out the joke ending. Oops. Alright. Let's go to the next circle. That should get us another ending. I think I'm going to try. It can't hurt to try and see what happens. And if I come back, then I come back.
If that's your choice, follow me.
He led me out of the room and back into the hallway. The elevator has always been in the building?
Yes, it has. Why I didn't say this earlier isn't for you to know.
We walked for maybe 10 minutes, past paintings and shelves of ancient artifacts. He stopped at an unsuspecting shelf where all books were the same color. Dorian pulled on one book, and the shelves opened outward to reveal a modern elevator.
This will take you down to violence, the 7th circle. Just let them know I allowed you down. They'll know what to do.
I pressed the button labeled 7. Dorian raised one hand and waved it shyly, like he wasn't sure if he should.
Good luck down there.
Thank you, Dorian. He had kept eye contact until the elevator had closed completely. I began traveling downwards. I didn't know how long it would take, and I wasn't sure how to process my emotions along the way. I just had to hope he was telling the truth. Ending 5. Sent to my doom, back, crying in your arms. Cute. Okay, for ending 4, I think we ask, are you lonely?
What does it matter to you? Do you care for a demon all of a sudden?
Yes. Yes.
Really?
We're supposed to be compassionate, even for those in the darkness.
I wouldn't say I'm in darkness. I'm constantly surrounded by burning tombs.
Really funny, Dorian. Hold on. I messed up for 4, but I do think asking if he's lonely is part of it. Give me 1 sec, I want to ask about the muzzle again.
It's the first thing you know. Typically, it was placed upon me by someone else. He said it's supposed to stop me from lying. In truth, it doesn't work, but I find it does make for a pretty accessory.
Can you take it off?
No, not on my own at least. It is unlocked with a key which I do not possess. I cannot saw, cut, or burn through the metal, but that's alright with me. I've never needed to take it off, but enough of all that.
Alright, now I'm gonna go back. So now, ending 4, we're gonna ask about the fires, take his hand. That's understandable.
But I can appreciate the aspects of most of them. Does that make any sense?
I guess so.
Now, shall we go in?
As soon as we entered, the doors shut behind us. I think we take his hand. I grabbed for Dorian's hand, who knew what was lurking in the depths of Heresy's walls.
That's quite cute of you, darling Fallen. You've done it twice now. Are you scared of something? Or are you trying to warm up to me? Come now. You can tell me anything.
Is he serious? Okay, so, I don't think that the ending has anything to do with, certain... I think we have to say I'm scared of getting lost, but, I didn't want to upset you. Dorian laughed, eyes closed.
Did you think I'd hurt you for not holding my hand? I didn't even insist that I wanted you to hold it. It was just a sign of beckoning, reaching out to venture deeper.
Really?
Perhaps, but I don't mind.
A blush settled against his cheeks.
I certainly don't mind.
Alright, now we're gonna go back. Because I trust you.
Despite what I am, you trust me.
I feel that if you wanted to kill me, you would have tried by now. But you've only been kind to me in the ash. Dorian smiled.
You're so innocent. It's cute.
Okay, now we're gonna get the proper answer. I'm scared of getting lost. The last thing I'd want is to get swallowed up in hell forever. I'm trying to get out of here.
I appreciate the honesty. I once had a girl come down here to try and do the same thing as you. She was swallowed into the obscure and never returned. I don't quite know what happened to her.
I think saying nothing just brings us to the room immediately. Do you get many human visitors? We've already gotten this one, but I think that's right. Or rather, I don't think it matters, but I think for ending 4, it's right.
No. Heresy is placed 2/3 of the way to treachery.
Alright, skipping. Alright, read. We're gonna read the letter. Ask to see the collections later. May I see the other wings?
If the storm has not passed before we're done here, then yes, I must admit, I am pleased that you are interested in what I have.
It's history. Say thanks. Thank you.
Anything for you.
Answer the question. It was his choice to bring me to heaven, and this is his test.
His choice?
Everything is, isn't it? Alright, we'll skip ahead because we've gotten this. Hold on.
Travel, fall in love, make something worth remembering, learn something new, leave an impact.
We're gonna just agree, not call out the heresy of that statement. Heaven might be boring. It might be scary. I don't know at the end of the day. No matter how much we read, how much we pray, we really don't know.
That is true. Have you ever considered that your pastor's interpretation, or maybe your own, of holy texts could be wrong? It's like an English class. There is an interpretation that your professor may project. There's an interpretation which stems from the context of the time and place in which it was written. There's an interpretation directly from the author. Then there's your interpretation. Oh, darling fallen.
Dorian, can I ask you something?
You can ask me anything.
You push this idea that heaven is a boring place. Is that the same for hell, for someone who is not suffering?
Only the truly wicked suffer. But it would take up too many resources to make an exponential amount of souls suffer for eternity. We may have eternity, but we like to make things quick.
That's not exactly what I'm trying to ask. Are you bored down here?
Bored? I wouldn't say so. I have lots of work to do. Bodies to burn, people to release, books to catalogue. Sometimes they allow me to gaze upon the human world and observe the living before they fall into the circles.
I cut him off. Are you lonely? I haven't seen anyone else here, except for you. You must get lonely with no one to talk to. He did not respond for a few moments. He may have seemed like he was looking at me, but instead he was looking through me.
I suppose I do get lonely. I have friends, Other demons mostly, who come to visit and assist, but they leave. They have to. They have other obligations and their own concerns to consider. I just wish that...
He swallowed and closed his eyes.
Pay me no mind. We have more pressing issues to worry about. Your locket.
And ask him about himself.
I'm an open book.
Are you lonely?
You asked this earlier.
I know.
Why?
Because I want to fix that. He stopped what he was doing. A heavy sigh ripped from his throat, and he refused to look at me.
And how could you fix that?
By staying here with you.
You don't want to do that.
Yes, I do.
Here in Heresy, it's cold, and you would have to endure me for eternity. I'm not very enjoyable.
So far, you've been lovely, dear. Save for that one ending. It's not enjoyable because you've never had anyone to enjoy it with. It seemed he considered what I said. His head hung, presumably to look at his hands.
No one should expect someone as wonderful as you to be perfect all the time, because you're perfect in your own right.
What are you saying?
I couldn't take it anymore. I came to the mortal world as a bird, to observe those following a faith I had come to detest. That was the first time I saw you. I don't know what it was about you, but you caught my eye in a way no soul ever has. And so, every so often, I would visit you as a raven outside your window, whether it be in a holy place or in the confines of your home. I knew your beliefs, I knew you, and you were fantastic. But I knew you would have to come down here eventually, because you were so uniquely you. Frankly, I was selfish. I could have waited for you to die much, much later, but I wanted to see you now. And I thought that if you lived your whole life only to be sent to hell for being human, it would be worse on you. So I killed you. I was the bird that flew from the spire and caused you to fall. I didn't mean for you to die like that, but that's how it happened. And you came down here to me after I asked everyone above to be nice to you, just so you wouldn't fall victim to their hunger. And here you are, looking as beautiful as you've ever been, and I haven't been able to stop looking at you ever since. I've kept my composure, but I want to be with you like this forever.
Dorian hugged me, arms tight around my body. No words were able to come from my mouth. I couldn't process anything. Was I in shock, disbelief? Was I feeling the same, or was I feeling differently? How had he done all of this just for someone like me? I felt his gloved hand wipe at a liquid trailing down my face. Was I crying? He pressed his forehead against mine, his head tilted slightly due to the muzzle forced onto his visage. His pinky finger found its way around mine, holding on to it tightly.
It's okay. You don't have to say anything. I already know that you feel the same way I do. And you want to stay. And even if you don't, we have an eternity to figure it out.
He smiled warmly, perhaps for the first time since we had met in Heresy's circle. And whether by compulsion or true feelings, I couldn't help but smile as well.
I love you.
And I you. Ending 4, a confession of personal sin can be a loving release. Alright. There's the joke ending to get. That only, I believe, we just have to get ending 1 multiple times, so I will see you when I get it. Alright, here we go. My legs were on the verge of giving out. Ash stuck to my skin like dead cells. My eyes were growing heavy. Through my limited sight, I saw no signs of the elevator to the next floor. Haven't I been here a few times already? My body was starting to weigh me down like an anchor. Maybe I should lay down, let the ash swarm over me once more and swallow me whole. I laid down on the ground with my face towards the sky and attempted to sleep. Huh? There was a pressure on my chest heavier than ash in the lungs. Squeak, squeak. I opened my eyes and rubbed them. Confusion knit itself into my expression and mind. This song is amazing. Squeak. Was this an otter? I don't know how this became a thing. I feel like it was a joke in the server when it was around, but I can't remember how Otter Dorian actually became a thing. What was an otter doing here, hidden among the ash storms of heresy? Hi there. I gave the otter my hand. It took no time to sniff or observe me before it nuzzled its face against my palm. At least, as much as it could, for it had a muzzle clamped around its mouth. Wow, you know who you remind me of, little buddy? Squeak. You remind me of the keeper of this circle himself. Can I name you Otter, Dorian? Squeak! Aww, you even have his little glasses and his hat. And his overflowing love. Otter Dorian seemed happy at that statement, continuing to rub itself against my palm, body flailing playfully. It seemed very happy at my pets. What amazed me the most was that the creature's hat was staying on its head, no matter how much it moved around. You're so cute. I could just play with you forever. Squeak! It seemed excited about that. Ending 6. An utterly amazing discovery. Thank you for playing 1016.
My dearest fallen, that I should find myself here, bidding you a fond farewell, is the strangest feeling. For many years, I've watched you with burgeoning adoration, and I've longed for your presence here in my lonely domain. And the thought of letting you go so soon after we finally met is most definitely a bitter pill to swallow. And furthermore, I've sent you down on a trial no mortal was ever supposed to endure, given the frailty of your souls. I may be the demon of heresy. It is in my nature to cast doubt, to mislead, to lie. Mine is the realm of warped belief. I've seen centuries of lambs being condemned to these depths by those that should have saved them. Yet perhaps the cruel irony is that I have faith in you. You will return to me at the end of a long and arduous journey, to be mine for eternity. But now the creatures of the circles have tasted the sweetness of your soul, and even in life they will come for you, lurking in the mirrors and the shadows to try to steal you away. I will do what I can for you from here, dear Fallen, but the battle I have thrust you into is a war you must wage from now until your part is played. Can you still hear me, Fallen, as you plunge into the murky depths of hell? If you can, hear this. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Matthew 10:16.
We look forward to your return. Alright, that song was incredible, but I may have muted it because I think it might be copyrighted. Obviously I won't get a strike, but it would, affect the monetization of this video. However, I don't know if y'all noticed, but my name was in the credits, Cat. I didn't know that. Thank you. I don't know if Kat will watch this, but thank you, Kat. This was lovely. I'm glad I replayed this. Before I go to my outro, I just want to thank my channel members. Thank you so much to my channel members for your support. Not only does it help me, it helps the channel grow and the videos keep coming. I truly appreciate it. So we replayed 1016. Thank you so much for 1016 subscribers. I really wanted to replay this ever since Kat announced the updated version, but I was like, oh, I should wait. And I actually kind of wish I didn't wait as long as I had, but also it's kind of a fun little, 1016 for 1016. Anyhow, just know I still love this visual novel. I adore Dorian. I still adore Kat's writing, like, a lot. You don't even know. I really like their art. I really like their writing. But anyways, if you made it this far, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did like it, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more of me, please subscribe. And I hope to see you all next time. Bye.